Every mine rescue follows the same rules. Stabilize the tunnel. Check the gas. Find the survivors. Bring them home. The order never changes. Because changing that order can kill an entire rescue team. In the winter of 2008, a collapse trapped several miners deep inside an underground tunnel. The rescue operation began less than an hour later. According to the official report, everything during the first stage was routine. The air readings were acceptable. The equipment was functioning normally. Communication between the surface and the rescue team was clear. Nothing suggested that this operation would become one of the most controversial mine rescues ever discussed among emergency responders. The rescue leader had spent nearly 3 decades underground. He had survived collapses, gas explosions, and tunnel fires. The younger rescuers trusted him without question. Some had never worked under anyone else. When his team reached the first collapsed section, they stopped exactly where the operation plan expected them to stop. The leader checked the map one last time. Beyond the collapsed rock, the trapped miners should still have been alive. He raised his radio. "Mine rescue team entering the collapse." A second later, a voice answered. "We're here." Several rescuers immediately looked at each other. They made it. One of them even smiled. After hours of uncertainty, hearing a survivor answer that quickly usually meant one thing. The rescue had just become a recovery mission that could still end with people walking back to the surface alive. The team prepared to move forward. Then, the rescue leader quietly raised one hand. Nobody moved. He wasn't looking at the collapsed tunnel anymore. He wasn't looking at the map. He wasn't looking at his equipment. He was listening. For several long seconds, the tunnel remained completely silent. Then, he reached for his radio again and said 4 words. "Everybody, back to the entrance." At first, nobody understood what they had just heard. The rescue team climbed back through the collapsed tunnel in complete silence. Nobody understood the order. Nobody questioned it anymore. Underground. The rescue leader's word was final. Behind them, the voices continued. "Please, we're still here." One of the younger rescuers slowed down. "They're alive." The rescue leader kept walking. "They answered us." No response. The rescuer stopped. "We can't just leave them." For the first time, the rescue leader turned around. His face showed nothing. "Keep moving." The rescuer hesitated. Then, another voice echoed through the tunnel. "Hurry!" It sounded calm. Too calm. Not desperate. Not panicked. Just waiting. The younger rescuer reached for his radio. "I'm answering them." Before he could press the button, the rescue leader grabbed his arm, hard. No! The entire tunnel fell silent. Everyone stared at him. They're trapped. I know. They're asking for help. I know. Then what are we doing? The rescue leader slowly released his arm, then continued walking toward the entrance. Nobody followed immediately. For several long seconds, the rescue team simply stood there, caught between two impossible choices: ignore their commander or abandon people who were still alive. One by one, they chose to follow him. When they finally reached the surface, the command center immediately realized something was wrong. Where are the survivors? No answer. Why did you come back? Still nothing. The rescue leader removed his helmet, placed it on the operations table, and quietly said, "The rescue is suspended." The room erupted. Engineers protested. Company officials shouted. Families demanded another team be sent in immediately. One senior engineer stepped forward. "You heard survivors?" "Yes." "You reached them?" "Yes." "So why did you abandon them?" The rescue leader looked down at the map. He pointed toward the collapsed tunnel, then asked a question that nobody in the room could answer. "Before we send another team, tell me something. If those voices were really coming from the trapped miners, who was answering us? From the sealed side of the collapse." By then, the original tunnel had become far too unstable to enter again. Engineers spent hours opening another route through the mine. No one expected to find survivors. But they did. Several miners were still alive. Weak, injured, and barely able to stand. Every survivor was brought back to the surface before sunset. The rescue was officially declared a success. For everyone outside the mine, the story was over. For the first rescue team, it had only just begun. The younger rescuers couldn't stop thinking about the night before. They had all heard the voices, every one of them. The recordings proved it. The replies had been real, clear, calm, impossible to mistake. Weeks later, the engineering investigation was completed. The collapse was reconstructed meter by meter. Every surviving tunnel was mapped. Every fracture was measured. Every possible route for sound was examined. The conclusion was never made public. But years later, part of the report became known among rescue crews. According to the investigation, the trapped miners had survived in a chamber that was completely isolated after the collapse. The rescue team's position, and the chamber where the miners were eventually found, had been separated by solid rock. There was no open passage, no ventilation shaft, no broken wall, no geological explanation for how voices could have traveled between them. The investigation never questioned the recordings, only the distance. Many believed the rescue leader had panicked. Some believed he had sacrificed valuable time. Others defended his decision. The arguments continued for years. The rescue leader never joined them. Whenever someone asked why he had ordered his team to leave, he always gave the same answer. "I wasn't trying to save the miners. I was trying to save my team." He never explained what convinced him. He never changed his statement. He never spoke about that operation again. Years later, one of the younger rescuers admitted that he had listened to the recordings hundreds of times. He said the voices always sounded exactly the same. Until one night, he noticed something he had somehow missed for years. No matter what question the rescue team asked, the voices answered immediately. There was never a pause, never a moment to think, never hesitation. Just perfect replies. He turned the recorder off and never listened to it again. To this day, no geological study, no engineering report, and no rescue specialist has ever explained how those answers reached the first rescue team through a section of collapsed mind that should have been completely silent.